This webinar is brought to you by Dr. Emil Tompkins, serving families in Southern Arizona for the last 12 years. If you have any questions or want a consultation with Dr. Tompkins, you can call us at 520-572-2596. We're going to take a moment and we're going to talk about Rome. You see, Rome, back in right around 800 BC, was the world's most powerful nation, and it wasn't even close. They were the world's most powerful nation, and it was for a lot of reasons, but one of the reasons that we're going to talk about today that applies to this workshop is because of their aqueducts. The Roman aqueducts was this amazing invention that allowed this nation to grow. They would build these structures, these bridges, to transport water throughout cities in Rome. It allowed cities to grow much larger than they ever would have been able to before, and the Roman Empire thrived. At least we thought. And over the years, they started changing how they were coming up with new inventions and new ways to make this aqueduct function better. And eventually, they started using this very handy, easy to use, very plentiful metal to build these aqueducts, to create the pipes, to transport water throughout the nation. It seemed like a tremendous idea, and then people started getting sick. And they weren't sure why they were getting sick, but over time people were getting sicker and sicker and sicker, until eventually, slowly but surely, the people in the Roman Empire became weaker, and eventually they were taken over. And you wouldn't think it would be something as simple as this great invention with just a small change, instead of the stone, just using lead, because lead was plentiful in the piping to transport this water. This amazing invention that was the catalyst for Rome becoming the largest, the most powerful nation in the world, also became the catalyst of its downfall. I'm telling you this because sometimes we do things that may seem like a great idea today, that may seem like this is going to make this huge change, make this difference for all of us, but in the end we find out it's our downfall. You know, we are in the greatest country in the world, and with industrialization, with now the computer age, we are now at a stage where we don't have to toil and labor and work, back-breaking work nearly as much as we ever used to. So many professions are spent just sitting right in front of the computer. It's so much easier on the body. It's so convenient. You can accomplish more in less time because you're not wearing yourself out while you're sitting on the computer. It seems like this is a great way to spend our lives and our day so much easier than that back-breaking work that we're used to, or that our parents or our grandparents are used to. But what we're finding out is that something as simple as sitting most of the day is getting ready to be our downfall. Sitting most of the day has been found to be equivalent to smoking when it comes to our health. We have to make a change to our normal way of doing things starting today. And if we do that, we are going to be healthier. Our body's going to thank us for it, but that change has to happen starting now. I'm sure you've heard, and if you hadn't heard before today, sitting is the new smoking. This means that sitting, like smoking, is harmful for your health. When you smoke, the more likely you'll start developing lung and breathing problems, issues with arteries, cancer. You'll start to age long before your time. But what happens in your body when you sit for long periods of time? When you sit a majority of the day, you will likely begin to experience health problems such as constipation, back problems, neck problems. It's not uncommon for people to sit for more than 50% of their day. And people who sit for long hours have changes in their circulation as well. These changes in circulation may make it more difficult for blood to return to the heart, contributing to the appearance of things like varicose veins. And those who are inactive from sitting too long during the day are those who will pack on the pounds. They are more likely to become overweight and obese and will not have a great level of fitness. They lose the desire to be heart healthy, and it's all too easy to start eating foods that don't nourish your body. In fact, here is a long list of even more specifics on how sitting affects your health. Blood fats will stay in the blood longer because the muscles are idle and they're not burning fat. 1 day of prolonged sitting decreases your body's insulin response. Your shoulder muscles and trapezius muscles are overstretched. Your chest muscles are understressed. Increased pressure on the discs in the spinal column. You'll have reduced metabolic rate that makes it easy to gain weight. There'll be extra pressure on the surrounding muscles and joints near the low back. There are so many things that happen to our body when we spend too much time sitting. Now, what's really scary is that we now have research that's showing that sitting is linked to problems with our heart. You can make all the good health and diet changes, but unfortunately, they may not help you very much if you're inactive and sitting most of the day. You see, your risk of developing heart disease increases 64% if you're sitting. Researchers at the Department of Exercise Science at the Arnold School of Public Health at the University of South Carolina evaluated the results of a lifestyle study of 7,744 men aged 20 to 89 who didn't have heart disease in 1982, recorded the amount of time spent watching television and riding in a car. They found that by the year 2003, 377 of those men had died of heart disease. In the men who had died, how much time they spent watching television or riding in a car had a direct relationship to their health. The scientists could predict who would die by looking at these two factors. The more time spent in either of these activities led to heart disease and death. However, if the men also had high levels of physical activities, this negated their chance of death from heart disease. Also, men who spent more than 10 hours a week riding in a car or more than 23 hours of sedentary activity per week had 82 and 64% greater risk of dying of heart disease than those who had less than 4 hours a week riding in a car or less than 11 hours a week total sedentary activities. How many hours a week do you ride in the car? If your commute to work is 1 hour each way, then you're already exceeding the 10-hour-a-week limit. Most of us sit far too much. For example, during one way, we'll sit while driving to work or while in public transportation. We'll sit at work in front of a computer. We'll sit while eating meals. We'll sit while entertained at sports events or at home watching TV. We'll sit in meetings at work. We'll sit even when exercising. We'll sit in doctor's offices waiting for our scheduled visit. We can sit our way right into the doctor's office dealing with diseases and issues that we shouldn't if we were just more active. If all this sitting amounts to 50% or more of our day, it means we definitely have a sedentary lifestyle. So why sit if you'll develop these problems? There are other studies that show there's a greater risk of each of the following diseases and disorders from sitting: high blood pressure, high cholesterol, colon cancer, breast cancer, endometrial cancer, neck problems from moving your head forward to see a computer screen. All cancers increase by 66%. We have greater risk of herniated discs in the spine because the pelvis rotates backwards, arthritis because when we're sitting the amount of pressure on the spine is increased, and many of these physiological effects of sitting on the body mean that if you have a job or lifestyle where you're sitting too much, you need a chiropractor on your healthcare team. Now, interestingly, recent studies are showing that if you can start to walk more often you will become more creative. Just another reason to stop sitting. Not only will it prevent some of these issues, you'll become more creative. One study in particular done at Stanford University in 2014 found that no matter where you walk, the act of walking itself will generate new and appropriate ideas. This means that if you have a problem or conflict you're mulling over in your mind, you could solve that problem by getting a new idea that you get if you take a walk. It doesn't mean that you'll solve problems you never think about. The scientists who discovered this found that you don't have to be out in nature for walking to generate new ideas. People often tend to think that they need to get out in nature, and this is true for overall relaxation. But to generate ideas, you can be anywhere. You can be walking on a treadmill at the gym, walking on a track at school, walking at a mall, taking the dog for a long walk. This whole idea really isn't something new. At least since the late 1880s, people noticed that they were more creative when they were walking. One philosopher coined a saying, "All truly great thoughts are conceived by walking." This is back in 1889, Friedrich Nietzsche. Benefits of walking are the same as the benefits of exercise. When you exercise, there are physiological changes that happen in the body that will influence your brain and your organs. When you participate in aerobic activities like riding a bike, dancing, treadmill walking, and running, you can expect an improvement in memory right after that aerobic activity ends. Speed of thinking also increases. If you can walk more often, you can open the door to better health. Walking burns more calories than sitting. This exercise brings additional oxygen and circulation to the tissues of the body. With the new blood flow and oxygen to the brain, your brain is certain to work more efficiently and generate new ideas. If you're walking outside, the sun is most likely shining on you and you're getting a good dose of vitamin D, and that's a good thing in and of itself, since it's estimated that over 50% of the population is deficient in this free vitamin you can get from the sunshine. If you walk in different environments, the newness of the environment seems to open the brain up to new ideas and improve creativity. And if you walk in a forest for as little as a few hours, smelling the phytoalexins from the forest trees is enough to boost your immunity for up to 1 month. It even helps your immune system. Some companies are battling sitting at work meetings. In fact, researchers are now finding out that the traditional work meetings where everyone sits around a conference room table could be improved if they were done while walking. The scientists report that there is a more positive work spirit when meetings are done while employees are walking. Walking side by side and talking is a way you can feel as if your boss is at your level too, instead of seeing him as the head honcho in front of the conference table. It's just less intimidating. Part of the reason why you may sit so much is because you haven't felt good in a long time. The last thing you want to do is move because it hurts to move, and this is a reason why a chiropractor can help you greatly. You may already have been diagnosed with arthritis in your back or your neck, disc herniations, bad posture, and some of the health disorders mentioned in this report. You may also have fatigue during the day, just a bad attitude, or overall feel as if life isn't worth living when we aren't feeling good so poorly that it's hard to even just get up and do something as simple as walking. The bottom line is, you don't have to feel bad, and you can feel a lot better with chiropractic adjustments and chiropractic wellness care. Even if you're experiencing excruciating neck and back pain, the verdict about using chiropractic care is in, and it very clearly shows that chiropractic can help. There's a randomized controlled study published in the British Medical Journal. 183 patients with neck pain were given care for 1 year. Some patients received chiropractic care, others were given exercises, others were given access to their medical doctor for consultations, education, and medication. Guess who got better fastest? Sure enough, it was those who received chiropractic care. Similarly, those in another study who had chronic low back pain had greater improvement than those who only received standard medical treatment. And here's something else that was revealed in the low back study. Those who went to chiropractors were more than 4 times happier with their treatment than those who went to their medical doctor for their low back pain. Also, about a third of those who went to medical doctors stated their low back pain was either worse or much worse. Call our office today to schedule a consultation with us to see how we can together negate the effects of sitting on your spine. And it's a really good thing that you've run into us during this time, because there's a lot of different ways that you can go with this. People can make the choice to visit a chiropractor, and you can visit an office that you can walk in the door, you can tell them something hurts, and for relatively inexpensive, they'll just take you in, they'll lie you on a table and start adjusting and try to get things to feel better. And for some people that really can help. But in a lot of cases, I worry about that, because there are so many things that can be happening in the body without a very thorough evaluation. Then there's really no chance you're going to be able to get as complete of care as you can. There's no way you're going to make any complete corrections of the structure of your spine, because we wouldn't understand what needed to be done without a full and thorough evaluation. The next step, another step that you can take is you can visit, say, a chiropractor who maybe does a more thorough evaluation, and they give a strict pain relief plan where, let's say, we have a spot in the low back is hurting. We can make that recommendation of what it takes, a few adjustments to get that area feeling better, and then you can go about your life and live as you normally would. And where there are definite benefits to that, and I'd feel better about that than, say, option number one, we still never, when we get to that point where we're finally feeling a little bit better, we've taken enough pressure off the spine so that we don't get the significant pain. However, one of the problems we run into is that when it's time nothing is really completely corrected or stable, so eventually that issue just comes right back. And then you have some place like our office where you would come in, and on that first day we would do a very, very complete and thorough evaluation. We would fully understand everything that we're dealing with, fully understand exactly how the spine is working, and come up with steps to make a complete correction in that area of the spine that's creating those underlying problems, in any area of the spine that's creating those underlying problems. And then along with that, we come up with very specific ways to strengthen and stabilize the spine. And when we do that, that's when we start seeing some of these changes last even more long term. But along with that, the reason why we have these problems in the first place is due to some kind of stress, whether it's a physical stress, a chemical stress, or an emotional stress. And if we're dealing with these three stresses, it's one thing to simply take care of what's going on in the spine that's happened as a result of these three stresses, or we can also address those three stresses. We can look at how we're eating, we can look at how we're exercising, we can look at how we're dealing with stress and how that's affecting your body. And when we address those things, that is when you start to see some real permanent change. Not only permanent change, but permanent improvements in our health. Over time, it's amazing to believe that as we get older, we actually can be healthier. We actually can feel healthier over time, instead of over time getting sicker and sicker and sicker. That is the mission that we have in our office, to really make complete changes in the spine, complete changes in our nervous system, making complete changes in your body and health. That's my mission and my vision for you. We take wonderful steps to be able to achieve that. Initially, we spend a lot of time during that initial evaluation. An exam in our office can cost anywhere between $150 and $225. Just for watching this video, for being a part of this webinar, I want to invite you to experience our office, not for $150 to $225, but for $27, you can experience our office and get a complete evaluation of your spine, and we can start moving your health in the right direction. Remember, when we're done here, I want to make sure that you walk out having tools, being able to take steps to completely improve your health. And so the first step is, one, just evaluate your day. See how many hours you're spending sitting and come up with ways to change that. One of the things you can think about is setting an alarm periodically. If you find that you'll sit at a computer for hours at a time, maybe set an alarm for 30 minutes where you just get up and stretch and move around and get the blood circulating. That's one way to make sure that you're moving. Look at your schedule during the day. Find those times that you're sitting and find those times that you're standing, and have a real conversation with yourself about, how can I change a couple of these hours here where instead of sitting, I can stand, I can make changes. Maybe I alter my desk and have a standing desk. Maybe I alter just what I'm doing at this time and incorporate some standing and walking during a specific period of time. If you actually take a really good honest look at the different times in your day, you can come up with ways to turn those numbers around a bit so that we're not spending the vast majority of our day sitting, because we know it absolutely can destroy our health. Make the decision today to move. Make the decision today not to spend our day sitting. If pain or some other condition is limiting your ability to exercise, you need to seek the services of a chiropractor today. I invite you to contact our office here at 520-572-2596, and we'll be happy to work on moving your health in the right direction. I'm Dr. Emil Tompkins, and I wish you a great and healthy day of lots and lots more movement.